Hello and welcome to this exploring session. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're doing a little bit of a dance. We are looking at mostly extracts from the Coventry Leet Book, a compendium of many things to do with civic pageantry, a lot of other things as well. Amongst other things, there's stuff on mystery performances, but also on civic pageantry, which is what we're mostly looking at today. We're looking at late medieval civic pageantry rather than, as we have looked at previously, specifically London Lord Mayor shows that are quite exciting, which we'll be doing more of in the future. But today we're going to be dancing through the late Middle Ages as we look at, I say mostly Coventry, as a little aperitif. We're going to start with a random entry to do with London. Which is not by John Lydgate. Once thought it was, but it no longer is. And which helps set up some of the conventions, perhaps, and will contrast nicely with the elements from the Coventry Leet Book that we are going to be picking out at. There's an awful lot of material that we're not doing today. We're doing just as a short selection of things that would be done on the streets. And to mostly arslick royalty, and we're going to see how that plays out. To guide us through this selection of texts, we have this wonderful assembled collection of readers. So, in the prescribed order, please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm from Stratford-on-Avon.
Liza?
Hello. I am, in fact, Liza. I'm an actor in London.
And I'm Sascha Cooper, and I'm from Brighton in the UK, and I'm a professional performer. And
I'm your host, Robert Crighton, and I may even read a couple of bits myself. Who knows? I may step in. So we're starting in 1445. It is, we're looking at an entry into London, royal entry, Margaret of Anjou, 2 days before her coronation. This is a selection of bits from performances that would be happening on the street or elsewhere. We get occasional glimpses of locations where some of these things are happening. I don't have an awful lot of data about precisely how this works. We're just going to work through the text now and get a sense of what's going on. I will speak the speech prefixes where we have them as we go round. So we're going to start with Greg and move around in the prescribed order. Greg is going to start being the personification. We're starting at the foot, the bridge foot in Suffolk. And Peace and Plenty speaks first.
Most Christian princess, by influence of grace, daughter of Jerusalem, our pleasance and joy, welcome as ever princess was, with heart entire and whole affiance. Causeway of wealth, joy in abundance, your city, your people, your subjects all, with heart, with word, with deed at your entrance, welcome, 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 unto you call.
And then Peace alone speaks.
So
Liza.
Okay. So trusteth your people with affiance, through your grace and high benignity. Twixt the realms two, England and France, peace shall approach, rest and unity. Mars set aside with all his cruelty, which too long hath troubled the realms twain, biding your comfort in this adversity, most Christian princess, our lady sovereign.
Just briefly pause there. So yes, it's weird because we've got peace and plenty, and then we've got peace, and I'm wondering whether the first one is just plenty and the second one peace, whether they're singing or something, or how this is functioning,
or maybe it's the same person, and the speech heading the second time is just an abbreviation.
Mm-hmm. That might be so. That might also be so. Yes.
Either way, it's kind of ironic considering what Margaret would spend the rest of her reign accomplishing.
Yeah, we're going to get an awful lot of historical ironies flowing in here. So yes, Yes, so trusteth your people with affiance twixt the realms to England and France, because that's going to go. They're always great friends. Always great friends.
Well, to be fair, eventually there will be peace with France.
Yes, take a while though.
And then there won't be peace with anyone else.
So yes, it's all very welcome. You're lovely, kind of stuff.
They haven't met her yet, obviously.
2 days before the coronation, and we can discuss historical reputations as we go along. So that was, in theory, at the Bridgefoot in Southwark. Now we are at Nose Ship upon the Draft Bridge. And this is the expositor speaking. So exposit away, please, Sascha.
Most Christian princess, our Lady Sovereign, right as Willem, by God's might and grace, know this ark did forge and ordain, wherein he and his might escape and pass the flood of vengeance caused by trespass, conveyed about as God list him to guy, by Moean of mercy found a resting place after the flood upon the Armony. Unto the dove that brought the branch of peace, resembling your sinfulness combine, token and sign the flood should cease. Conduct by grace and pure divine, Sun of comfort ginneth fair to shine by your presence, whereto we sing and sing. Welcome of joy, right extended line, most Christian princesses, our Lady Sovereign.
Okay, so that was under another draft bridge. I'm wondering what these the route is for this, and that's something that we might be able to look at further down the line. It interests me. It also interests me that it's Noah's ship.
Yeah.
Is that left over from something else? They have one on stock.
Well, hang on. It may be a pub. Wouldn't it make sense for it to be a pub called Noah's Ship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that.
You're only allowed in 2x2. And no water allowed inside.
No. Okay. It continues. So we're now at Leadenhall, and Madam Grace, I believe, is speaking. Slightly longer speech. Greg, if you would you be Grace, please?
Our benign princess and lady sovereign, grace convey you forth and be your guide in good life long, prosperously to reign. Truth and mercy together being allied, justice and peace, these sisters shall provide twixt realms twain steadfast love to set. God and grace the parties hand applied, now the sisters have hem kissed and met. Prognosticate of peace, firm and infinite, Dame Grace, God's Vicar General, 4 patents, fair, fresh, and legible, containing 4 precepts imperial, seals impressed for memorial, to these sisters 4 thus be direct, which as ministers further proclaim and shall, to increase in peace, wars to correct. Clergy, knighthood, the laws commendable, assenting all this matter to ratify, council of grace holding firm and stable, George and Dionyse, for here people cry upon the law that all shall justify this time of grace. Thus would the story seen, trusting that peace shall flower and fructify by you, princess and lady sovereign.
So, is this the 4 heavenly virtues? Am I truth, mercy, justice, and peace? Because it seems it's a wonderful coincidence we had them this afternoon. So yeah, is Grace just is there something visual going on here? There seems to be a lot of visual things that are semi being referred to, but sadly we don't actually have any full stage directions to give us more of an indication of what's going on.
Yeah, I did feel like I was giving, or not either giving something or showing something. especially the 4 patents containing 4 precepts imperial seals impressed by memorial. That almost, it was like they're there.
Yeah, I think we've had that in later civic pageantry where there are documents and things that are being demonstrated or passed forward, or you know, and it might be as you go along, you hand something to her, and then she hands it to whoever's to her left, and never looks at it ever again. That's how royal things work, isn't it? Yeah, there are these sort of little ceremonies that are occurring. Of course, we also may be missing huge chunks of additional text and data. You know, this is just what we've got. Other thoughts before we move forward?
So we're not in Coventry, are we? We're in London.
Not yet. No, we're in London at the moment. This is our aperitif.
And we're specifically in East London.
Seems to be at the moment, but we're in a moment not going to be. We're going to be pretty central in a moment, but not yet. So we seem to be going on a journey, and I say I haven't been in a position to do additional research on this. So
I'll see if I can MS Paint you a route. But we started quite near me in Southwark. We crossed the river, and now we're sort of down by Bank.
Yeah, that's definitely where we're heading. So because we're going to be right off Bank Tube Station any second now.
And the next one I think is definitely a pub name, the Tun.
Yes, so the next one, and I assume it's Liza next to do the next bit. I'm not out of sequence, am I? Yes. So we're at the Tun in Cornhill.
Angels of peace shall have domination, sentence given from the heavens high, seared by grace and good mediation, peace granted to grow and multiply. Exiled the angels of wretched tyranny, war proscribed, peace shall have his place. Blessed be Margaret, making this purchase. Convey of grace, virgin most benign, O blessed martyr, holy Margaret, maugre the might of spirits malign, to God above her prayer pure and sweet, maketh now for rest, peace, and quiet. Showed here plainly in this story, our Queen Margaret to signify. God in heaven commanding abstinence, no wicked angel shall do more grievance. Earth, sea, and trees shall be in existence, obeisant to man's will and pleasance. Desired peace between England and France, this time of grace by mean of Margaret, we trust to God to live in quiet.
We trust to God to live in quiet. Again, the historical ironies of this, we haven't. This is before the Wars of the Roses really kicking off. Bad things are gonna happen in the future, and we're able to look back at this and go, yeah, that's a bit sad. We're gonna have such great peace with Margaret. Great peace.
Apparently, the Tun at Cornhill was possibly a prison, or was a prison too.
Yes, that a good solid landmark with where you can assemble.
You should have heard those locked down jailbirds sing.
Okay, the next one, and now we're at the Great Conduit in Cheapside, and I know very much where that is. I've been there a few times, and we talked about this. This is very much where Lord Mayor processions will be going along, and we've got another later on across at Cheap again. I assume it's Cheapside, so it looks like. It's a good wide road that they're going to be using, so there may be all sorts of things going on. This person is once again down as expositor, so Sascha.
Grace in this life and afterward glory. David in the psalm he saith thus express. How pleasant be thy tabernacles, high Lord, he saith. This psalm by short process of our Lord concludeth high goodness. No man to lack reward when he goth hence that liveth here in perfect innocence. What's that word? Ensampled plainly by fair parable. 10 virgins aeons the spouse they yeed. 5 negligent refused, found unable, and of the spouse 5 prudent had meed for continence in thought, word, and deed. No man's lord seeking in their intent to serve the spouse higher hearts only brent. The spouse is sought, sponsors with hire is met. After labour, he will she take higher rest. So much he hath his heart upon higher set. Now hath the turtle found a pleasant nest. Come on, she saith, I will give thee my breast. Who seeketh rest with faithful true courage shall dwell at last in God's heritage. Sponsors peace, the king will make his feast. All thing is ready, plenty and sufficience. Prayed for to come, guests most and least unto the spouses, full of heavenly purveyance. Milk and honey flowing in abundance about the land whither he hath us brought. Right far and wide guests clept and sought. Eateth and drinketh, my friends of the best, most cheered friends, drinketh inwardly. After the feast, take ye your rest. Thus saith the spouse, his feast to magnify. This joyous canticle doth signify a peace shall be whereas now trouble is, after this life endly in bliss.
Right, yes. Now, if we're at the Conduit and they follow the traditions of almost every other outdoor event like this, there should be some wine running freely out of various pipes, which seems to be where some of this is going. It's all about plenty and excess, and maybe there are vendors selling things, food, things in abundance all around. It's a general celebration. Possibly, I say again. Still very little data. Any general thoughts about that? I'm not sure on the theological point being made here to do with spouses.
Is it to do with the church as the spouse of Christ?
It might be. That would make sense. It seems weird,
It's the wise virgins and the foolish virgins.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, and obviously turtle is not a turtle, it's a turtle dove. Just in case you're nesting turtles. I
was wondering.
I think it's me thinking at one point there was a Carry On film in the making.
But this joyous canticle, are we expecting music as well going on as well?
Oh yes. Oh, sorry.
At least you did that and not in chat.
Absolutely.
So perhaps the Sacris Solemnis is sung while the procession is going from one, because the cross, I'm assuming that's the Market Cross in Cheapside, or possibly a pub called the Cross.
It's I should know this off the top, but it's a cross of some description at Cheapside.
So it's not that far, right?
No, it's literally a few hundred yards. Less than, it's a bit hop, skip, and a jump.
And Sacris Solemnis is a pretty long text, so it would get us there.
So yes, because the next stage is we've reached the cross in Cheapside, which is just in Cheap. And we have the angels singing, as Liza has just said. Read it fully for me, Liza, in your beautiful voice.
I can read the first line, or I'm assuming you don't want the whole poem.
You keep going until we get bored. We'll just wave at you.
Oh Lord. Okay, I'll read the first bit. This is a text by Thomas Aquinas. He wrote it in 1200 some. And unlike a lot of older Latin texts, it rhymes.
Hooray!
Everyone knows the end bit, because the end bit is the bit that starts Panis Angelicus.
Yeah.
But this is the beginning bit, which goes, Sacris solemnis juncta sunt gaudia, et ex precordiis sonent preconia, requerant vetera, nova sint omnia, corda, voces, et opera.
Yay!
Yeah.
Lovely, because all we've got is etc. In our script.
Etc. is good Latin also.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that as an idea that's as they go before they go to the next. They go to the cross. So this is essentially perhaps a unit of action between these two expositor speeches. Greg, I think you're next up for the next expositor. So let's see. Following on from this particular, the angels singing.
O blissful psalm and song celestial, letatus sum, for things that I hear, noon earthly joy compared nor egal, may be here to this bliss may not despair, but shineth amid the heavenly sphere. The orient sun that noon eclipse may fade, to God's house now shall we go right glad. Many mansion built in that palace of that city, things right glorious being said. O Lord, who can thy palace praise, so is it fair and inly spacious. All holiness beseemeth the Lord's house. Sanctus is sung in every hierarchy, thank you, praising the Lord of eternal glory. O declared princess, unto your noble grace, how God hath made this conduct and convey, thus through your city from place to place, more heartily welcome more heartily welcome than your folk can see, enjoying entirely your high nobly. This pageant would mean your excellence, that there is joy in very existence. Where is rejoiced or felicity without an end eternally to endure, contemplation of the deity whose noon earthly language may discure. God beholden of his creature, which appertaineth to ghostly sufficience, when from this world is made disseverance. From virtue to virtue men shall up ascend, and God shall be seen in the Mount Sion. Thus you guide on to your lives' end. We pray the Lord that guideth all alone, so that with you we may attain each one to the fair city of Jerusalem, beset about with many a precious gem.
So yeah, everyone's so, delighted that she can be there so that they can all bask in her magnificence. Let's hope it doesn't go to her head. There could be terrible consequences. I don't even know how old Margaret of Anjou would have been in 1445, actually. Presumably just before the coronation, still relatively young. But yeah.
She would be in 15.
Yeah. Ooh. So, quite it won't, that's not the youngest we're going to have in terms of these processions. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. We've got one more little bit of text from this, and it's in St. Michael's in Quern. Any thoughts?
Quern. I mean, it meant I think a mill or something to grind flour. I wonder if we've had Cornhill. I wonder if it's modernized at all. Anyway, let me think about that one.
Yes, I mean, to say it doesn't matter at this stage too much, because we'll. Oh, as Greg found something.
I'm sorry, Madam Google. St. Michael le Quern, also called St. Michael ad Blaydon, was a parish church in the Farringdon within Ward in the city of London.
Of course, I should have known that. I lived near Farringdon at one point. Bloody hell!
So they've moved along again.
It's a great city. It's the Great Fire. It's one of the Great Fire destroyed. So hence,
well, all of this was in some way, shape, or form completely trashed. So,
yes.
Oh well. So we have one final expositor, Liza, I think next.
Assumped above the heavenly hierarchy, Christ's mother, Virgin Immaculate, God his tabernacle to satisfy, of stars 12 the crown hath preparate. Empress, Queen, and Lady Laureate, pray for our Queen that Christ will here govern, long here on life in her noble estate, afterward crown her in bliss etern. This story to your highness would express the great resurrection general, whereof our faith beareth plain witness. The fearful sound of trump judicial Upon the people it suddenly shall call, each man to make a compt and reckoning, right as his conscience bewrayen shall, albeit pope, emperor, or king. Who hath well done to life predestinate? What joy, what bliss, how great felicity unto the saved of God is ordinate. No tongue can tell, none earthly may I see. Joy, laud, rest, peace, and perfect unity. Triumphs of eternal victory, with fruition of the Trinity, by contemplation of his glory. Deus gratias. Amen.
Yes, it all gets a little more serious at the end. There's a bit less. I mean, it's still continuing the theme of general "Isn't she wonderful?" but calling upon the Virgin Mary to sanctify all of this here. So it's a much more. It's outside a church, or it might be in a church. Who knows? This might be part of a more private part of the service. I don't know. You know, sometimes there's outy bits and sometimes there's inny bits. Who knows? People watching this video may know. Put it in the comments. Feel free. This is our first pass at some of this stuff. Any additional thoughts, really, about this particular opening gambit?
So it's not known who wrote this?
Nope, no idea. There might be some information about who commissioned it, about which Mayor of London and which the various people commissioning and running this kind of thing. But I don't think we have any idea who it actually is.
It's decent verse. I mean, the form is a hard form. It's not life-changingly amazing. No. We're not Chaucer here, but it's also not bad. The penultimate section that Greg read very beautifully that section gets very ecstatic, very visionary, almost this vision of the New Jerusalem and the bliss that could follow if we are led by this wonderful, peaceful princess.
Yeah, I actually really like the last two sequences. The where it becomes less overtly arse-licky, which is sort of how I sort of compose. You know, the rest of it is a bit too, isn't she wonderful?
Margaret, you had one job.
Just the one job.
Well, to be fair, her job was to defend hers and her husband's crown, and she did that.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I think we're possibly being a bit mean on Queen Margaret. You know, she was doing her best in particularly trying circumstances. Trying circumstances called Henry VI.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
we're asleep for some of it. Yes.
Yes. Anyway, we're going to leap ahead 11 years, and we're going to go to Coventry, and this is where we're going to stay for the remainder. We have various accounts, and of what goes on with the reception of Queen Margaret in 1456. So we have a series of memorandums, of which some of the we actually have the script. We also have some of the preparations, so some of this is not desperately exciting because it's all basically the admin of setting these things up. But I'll start with a few of these. So memorandum that the Thursday next after the feast of Saint Bartholomew the Apostle, the year reigning of Henry VI after the conquest, 34. That can't be right. That's right. Anyway, Richard Braytoft, then being mayor, was made assemble in St. Mary Hall of worshipful persons whose names following. There is now a list of 90 people. We are not going to read that out. The which persons above rehearsed, then ordained and provided that they would 100 marks be levied by the wards in Coventry, whereof 50 mark to be given to our sovereign lady the Queen, and another 50 mark to the Prince at her next coming to Coventry. afterwards. That is for to say, at the Feast of the Holy Cross, the 35th year, it still seems a very wrong number, of King Henry VI at Coventry, 50 mark was given to our Sovereign Lady the Queen, and the 20th day of January then next following, he, the said mayor, and his council, the other 50 mark of the said 100 mark, was delivered to the collectors of every ward after the rate, as it be indentures severally made betwixt the said mayor and the collectors appeareth, savely to keep to the use of the prince when he comes to Coventry. So, yeah, this is the thing about kings. They like presents. Royalty like to be given things. And so there's something about when the king turns up, or the queen turns up, or the prince, or whatever turns up, it costs money. And everybody has to hustle about. And that's what I quite like about that particular memorandum, is just, everybody's got to rustle the money together to give presents to the person who's joining us this time. Any thoughts on that? Am I terrible reading, by the way?
Only because I'm sad. The years, the 35th year might be more accurate, taking his birth into account. It's not his reign. It's how old he was, because he was born in 1421. So 35th year would just about sum this up.
Yeah.
And
he exceeds at a very young age. I know, because
9 months, is it?
Yeah, so maybe that's perfectly accurate, and I'm just.
Oh yeah, goodness! Wait a minute. Yes, because he reigned. Yes, because he came to reign at 9 months, didn't he, or 6 months, or some horrendous age.
He was baby. Okay, well, that answers that confusion in my mind. Okay, we're going to go into some text. We're going to go in the usual order: Greg, Liza, Sascha. As we go round, I will announce who you are as we go. So, next memorandum, that the demesne and rule that was made and showed unto our Sovereign Lady the Queen at Coventry was thus, as it followeth in writing. That is to say, first at Bablake, there was made a Jessie over the gate right well arrayed, and there were showed 2 speeches, as followeth. First, I say, Greg.
Princes, most excellent born of royal blood, chosen queen of this region, comfort to all us. I, Isa, replete with the spirit prophetical, words to your magnificence wall I say thus. Like as mankind was gladded by the birth of Jesus, so shall this empire joy the birth of your body. The knightly courage of Prince Edward all men shall joy to see.
And then Jeremy speaks.
Empress, queen, princess excellent, in one person all 3. I, Jeremy, the prophet true, these words of you will say. This realm shall joy the blessed time of your nativity. The mellifluous meekness of your person shall put all woe away. Unto the root of Jesse liken you well I may. The fragrant flower sprungen of you shall so increase and spread, that all the world in each part shall cherish him, love, and dread.
Again, we've got this biblical imagery being overlaid upon the princes, the mother of a young child, Virgin Mary sort of things. It's really interesting. I find that as a tactic. I suppose if you're going to compare anyone with anyone, the Holy Family is not bad. They're quite high up. So yeah, baby in tow, presumably. Don't know how old Edward is at this point, but the fact they're talking about the joy, the birth of your body, which, yeah, it's an interesting turn of phrase. Any thoughts before we move deeper into this little pageant?
Greg,
you've got Wikipedia. Sorry,
yes.
You were going to talk.
I'm sorry. I'm being. He was 3 years old.
Yeah. So he'll be paying attention to all of this.
Absolutely. All might.
Well, I suppose they'll keep him happy somehow.
And can you see, Greg, whether he was their only child? Because I'm thinking he was, but
no,
yeah.
he is. Yeah. Poor guy. Yeah.
So everybody's very, very, very happy, and they're going to keep praising him.
Have the wars started at this point?
Did they? When did they start? When did they ever end? Who knows?
Have the major battles happened, I suppose, is what I'm asking.
I think it's a bit early yet for anything major to have happened. Still 56, so we've got a bit of room for manoeuvre. As again, a little research to do. I can hear the tapping away of tiny keys. Okay, we're going to move on to the next little pageant, and these little pageants seem to be little twofers so far. So next one, afterward, within the gate at the east end of the church, was a pageant right well arrayed, and therein was showed a speech of St. Edward and another of St. John the Evangelist, as followeth. So it's St. Edward first, Sascha.
Mother of meekness, Dame Margaret, princes most excellent, I, King Edward, welcome you with affection right cordial, certifying to your highness meekly mine intent. For the well of the king and you heartily pray I shall, and for Prince Edward, my ghostly child, whom I love principal, praying the John Evangelist my help therein to be. On that condition right humbly I give this ring to thee.
And John Evangelist then speaks. Greg.
Holy Edward, crowned king, brother in virginity, my power plainly I will prefer thy will to amplify. Most excellent princes of Wayman mortal, your bedman will I be. I know your life so virtuous that God is pleased thereby. The birth of you unto this realm shall cause great melody. The virtuous voice of Prince Edward shall daily well increase. Saint Edward his godfather, and I shall pray therefore doubtless.
So again, they're really in on their Edward, bringing out Saint Edward. Is that Edward the Confessor, or is there another Edward?
I'm sure he confessed sometimes, but Edward the Confessor was the king that William the Conqueror conquered back in 1066.
Yes, but he was also sainted.
He was sainted. You're so right. I knew you would never get that wrong.
Well, he was effectively the patron saint until he was superseded by St. George. So it might be because he's a fountainhead king. I don't know. There might be another St. Edward that I'm unfamiliar with.
Wow. I mean, I bet there are tons of them. But yeah, Edward the Confessor is ours.
Yes.
Mm.
For those keeping track, I just said sorry to the cat.
That's fine. That's fine.
Oh.
Okay, and focus people. Focus people. Unless the cat's going to start reading some text, I'm not impressed.
That would be really interesting.
Yeah, so once again we're going with or at least saints and semi-biblical things, yes, it's these little things that are within gates. They're sort of presumably structured places for performance where these little things, and this I give this ring to thee. Now, because he's praying the John Evangelist. Is he handing that to John Evangelist first, or is he handing it to the royal? What's it?
I wonder. It reads like he's handing it to John, and then maybe John gives it to Edward.
Mm.
Yeah, like a passing down of blessings, as you were.
Yeah, but would you give the 3-year-old the ring?
If it'd make him disappear, sure.
Oh.
It's not his fault. He's only 3. He doesn't know the terrible things that are going to happen later.
And yes, there was probably at least one battle by this point, by the way.
Oh, right. So rumblings are occurring. Always good. Always good. To be fair, they're really just saying how wonderful a baby he is and saying, they're not really doing what they did in the last one, which was, you're going to keep the kingdom together. Oh, Queen.
Aren't you?
Yeah. Well, she tries. Okay, we're getting a fora next. So after the conduit in Smithford Street was right well arrayed, and there was showed 4 speeches of 4 cardinal virtues. We're getting cardinal virtues again, as followeth. So Liza first, I think, Sascha, then Greg.
I, right wiseness that causeth truth to be had, meekly as a maiden my language will I make, and welcome you, princes right cheerful and glad. With you will I be dwelling, and never you forsake.
I, temperance, to please you worthy will awake, and welcome you as most worthy to my power. Beseeching your highness this language to take, I will faithfully defend you from all manner danger.
I, strength, the third virtue, will plainly appear, clearly to conceive you in your estate most royal, and welcome you, princes, gladly with cheer, for to do that more pleasure please you, Areus we shall.
I, prudence, of the 4 virtues highest in degree, welcome you, Dame Margaret, queen crowned of this land. The blessed babe that ye have borne, Prince Edward is he, through whom peace and tranquility shall take this realm on hand. We shall endow both you and him clearly to understand. We shall preserve you personally and never from you dissever. Doubt not, princes most excellent, we 4 shall do our endeavor.
Yeah, you're probably not though, are you? I love that, through whom peace and tranquility shall take this realm on hand. Again, history is not kind at all. It's interesting, a little later on, I say little, about 100 years later, we've got fragmentary texts on that feature the 4 cardinal virtues, and that's those are places we've vaguely looked at on the podcast. So I'm always interested when other examples of the same sort of device it sort of crops up, because it gives more context for obscure plays that we don't quite know how they function. And so the more of this we get, the more of the convention of what temperance, strength, prudence and righteousness are going to be saying. Okay, we move forward. Afterward at the cross, in the cross-cheaping, there were ordained diverse angels, sensing, is that singing? On high on the cross. And there ran out wine at many places a long while. Told you we'd get to the wine. Afterwards, betwixt, I mean, that's why the angels are singing, they're plastered. Afterward, betwixt the said cross and the conduit, beneath that were set 9 pageants, right well arrayed, and in every pageant was showed a speech of the 9 conquerors. So we're going to go back to Sascha next. So in the first was showed of Hector, as followeth.
Most pleasant princes recorded that may be. I, Hector of Troy, that am chief conqueror, lowly will obey you and kneel on my knee, and welcome you tenderly to your honour to this conable city, the prince's chamber, whom ye bear in your bosom, joy to this land, through whom in prosperity this empire shall stand.
In the second pageant was showed a speech of Alexander, as followeth.
I, Alexander, that for chivalry beareth the ball, most courageous in conquest through the world most courageous in conquest through the world am I named. Welcome you, princes, as queen principal, but hails you right henly, I were worthy to be blamed. The noblest prince that is born, whom fortune hath famed, is your sovereign Lord Harry, emperor and king, unto whom meekly I will be obeying.
And the third pageant was shown of Joshua as followeth.
I, Joshua, that in Hebrew reign principal, to whom that all Egypt was fain to incline, will obey to your pleasure, princes most royal, as the highest lady that I can imagine. To the pleasure of your person I will put me to pine, as a knight for his lady boldly to fight, if any man of courage would bid you unright.
And the fourth pageant was showed of David, as followeth.
I, David, that in dainty have led all my days, that slew the lion and goalie thorough God's might, will obey to you, lady. will obey to you, lady, your person praise, and welcome you courteously as a kind knight, for the love of your liege lord, Henry that hight, and your laudable life that virtuous ever have be, lady, most lovely, ye be welcome to this city.
In the 5th pageant was showed a speech of Judas as followeth.
I, Judas, that in Jewry am called the Bell, in knighthood and conquest have I no peer, will obey to you princes, else I did not well, and tenderly welcome you in my manner. Your own sovereign lord and king is present here, whom God for his goodness preserve in good health, and end you with worship to this land's wealth.
At the 6th pageant was showed a speech of Arthur as followeth.
I, Arthur, king crowned and conqueror, that in this land reigned right royally, with deeds of arms I slew the emperor. The tribute of this rich realm I made down to lie. Yet unto you, lady, obey I meekly, as your sure servant, pleasure to your highness, for the most pleasant princess mortal that is.
At the 7th pageant was showed a speech of Charles as followeth.
I, Charles, chief chieftain of the realm of France, and emperor of great Rome, made by election, which put many paynims to pine and penance. The holy relics of Christ I had in possession. Yet, lady, to your highness to cause due reflection, worshipfully I welcome you after your magnificence. If my service please you, I will put to my diligence.
At the 8th pageant was shown a speech of Julius as followeth.
I, Julius Caesar, sovereign of knighthood and emperor of mortal men, most high and mighty, welcome you, princes most benign and good, of queens that been crowned so high none know I. The same blessed blossom that sprung of your body shall succeed me in worship. I will it be so. All the lands alive shall obey him unto.
In the 9th pageant was showed a speech of Godfrid as follows.
I, Godfrid of Boulogne, king of Jerusalem, wearing the thorny crown in worship of Jesu, which in battle have no peer under the sunbeam, yet, lady, right lovely, I lout unto you. So excellent a princess, steadfast and true, know I none christened as you in your estate. Jesu for his mercy increase and not abate.
And so those are the 9 champions, all pledging allegiance and loyalty to the sovereign, or future probable, possible. They hope. They got good reason to hope it will happen. And they're all offering their service, and it's going to be great. It's going to be great. All these strong, mighty people. Very keen on good old Harry. I do love the spelling of Harry. Henry. So yeah, there's some nice King Arthur. Always nice to have him showing up. Is Charles? Do we know who that Charles is? Are we thinking Charlemagne or something?
Charlemagne, yeah.
Charlemagne, yeah.
The worthies or the champions are traditionally 3 pagans, 3 Jews, and 3 Christians.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
the Christians are Charlemagne, Arthur, and Godfrey of Boulogne.
It sounds like a setup for a joke.
9 worthies walk into a bar.
Oh dear, no.
Yes.
No.
Okay, we've only got one last little bit for this. We've got a few more bits of notation, which I probably won't actually read out. But we've got one more bit of performance occurring, so I think we're back round to Sascha again. Afterward, and the last conduit in the cross-cheaping was arrayed right well with as many virgins as might there be thereupon.
Not many then.
Stop sniggering at the back.
Never.
And
It was his fault, sir.
I know Coventry too well. Sorry.
And I would just like to apologise to the people of Coventry. And there was made a great dragon, and St. Margaret slaying him by a miracle, and there was showed full well this speech that followeth.
Most noble princess of Wayman earthly, Dame Margaret, the chief mirth of this empire, ye be heartily welcome to this city. To the pleasure of your highness, I will set my desire. Both nature and gentleness doth me require. Saith we both be of one name, to show you kindness. Wherefore by my power ye shall have no distress. I shall pray to the prince, that is endless, to succour you with solace of his high grace. He will hear my petition, this is doubtless, for I wrought all my life that his will was. Therefore, Yady, when ye be in any dreadful case, call on me boldly. Therefore, I pray you, and trust to me faithfully. I will do that may pay you.
So we get a dragon fight. That's a great way to close the show.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. I don't know of the Saint Margaret slaying a dragon. Is that a deliberate conflation of things, or is there a tale that exists? That's
there is a tale, but I can't remember. I'm trying to think.
I like that. That's just again. Is this have we? Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying that. That's really. Second, we had demon slaying yesterday by the intercession of the Virgin Mary, so I see no reason why we don't have dragon fights. There isn't much more to say. There's a few more memorandum available. So John Wordbury of Leicester was paid for the premises and provision. He's labouring. He got paid 25 shillings, lucky chap. I like the item, paid for a ton of wine that was given to our sovereign lord the king. Doesn't go as far as you think it would. For 2 gilt cups, of which one was given to our sovereign lady the queen, and the other is kept for our lord the prince until his coming, etc. So all the various gifts and bits and bobs are similarly itemized, and things that went into that particular pageant. Any little final thoughts about that? I was more engaged with that one, I have to say. It was more completely archived, so there was a lot more there to be had, but felt a bit more dynamic.
I could see her going through the city to that more than I could the London, interestingly.
Well, maybe they knew there was a kid in the audience, so they thought, well, we'll put a dragon fight in, that'll wake him up. Or maybe at this point, Coventry were just better at it.
Well, yeah. Don't comment.
Okay, any additional thoughts before we go into I say go into the next one. There's a short memorandum for a few years further down the line. So 4 years later, there's a reception for Edward IV.
Yay!
So Edward IV pops in 1460.
£100 and a cup, but no wine.
Yes, given to the city by Edward to Edward IV to his welcome to his city of Coventry from the field in the north. So lucky he. We then jump forward 14 years. So turbulent times, and we're now going to get into our penultimate pageant. Bit shorter. We got a little less here, but let's see if we recognise any similarities or differences. So, that the 28th day of the month of April came our Lord Prince Edward out of Wales, so by Warwick to Coventry, and the mayor and his brethren with the diverse of the commonalty of the said city, clothed in green and blue, meeting our said Lord Prince upon horseback beyond the New Cross in a chair, being of age of 3 year, another 3-year-old. There, welcoming him to his chamber and giving him there a 10 mark in a gilt cup of 15 ounces with a kerchief of pleasance upon the said cup, and then coming into the city. And once again, we're at Bablock Gate. There ordained a station, in being King Richard, with 13 other arrayed like as dukes, marquises, earls, viscounts, and barons and lords, with minstrelsy of the waits of the city, so the musicians, and King Richard there having this speech here following. And I don't know who's next. Greg, I think.
I think it's me. Welcome, full high and noble prince, to us right special, to this your chamber so called of antiquity. The presence of your noble person rejoiceth our hearts all. We will bless the time of your nativity. The right line of the royal blood is now as it should be, wherefore God of his goodness preserve you in bodily health. To us and your tenants here perpetual joy, and to all lands wealth.
So which Richard is this? One or two?
One of them.
I mean, I'd go for number one.
I'd
go for the Conqueror.
Can't see two being it.
But there isn't really anything in there to really give us any additional details. So we'll move on to the next one. So we're going to the Conduit. Also at the Conduit are 4 Richard Braytoft the Elder. Another station with 3 patriarchs there standing upon the said conduit, with Jacobus 12 sons, with minstrelsy of harp and Dowsmeris. Dowsmeris?
Ooh.
Harp and something. And they're running wine.
Dulcimers.
Dulcimer. Yes. Dulcimers, yes. So there's 12 sons with minstrelsy of harp and dulcimers, and they're running wine. Got the wine out again. In one place. And they're one of the said patriarchs having this speech written.
God most glorious, grounder and giver of all grace, to us 3 patriarchs thou promised, as scripture maketh rehearsal, that of our stock lineally should proceed and pass a prince of most noble blood and king's son imperial, the which was fulfilled in God, and now refer it we shall unto this noble prince that is here present, which entereth to this his chamber as prince full reverend.
3. He's 3. There's no mention of any other royal personage here.
I'm assuming this is what would have been Edward V.
Yes, I assume so, yes. 3. You know, they're doing all this show to an audience of, him. Obviously, it's a wider celebration, but yeah.
If they had dragons last time, I'm looking forward to seeing what they get this time.
Well, I'm not saying that they reuse any elements from the previous one, but they might reuse some elements. Okay, so the next one. Also at the Broadgate, a pageant and St. Edward. Being therein with 10 estates with him, with minstrelsy of harp and lute, and King Edward having this speech next following.
Noble Prince Edward, my cousin and my knight, and very prince of our line come in descent. I, Saint Edward, have pursued for your father's imperial right, whereof he was excluded by full furious intent. Unto this your chamber, as prince full excellent, ye be right welcome. Thanked be Christ of his sand, for that was ours is now in your father's hand.
Thankfully, a completely different speech, maybe reusing the same costume, but it's been a few years, since the last time. It's quite a jump in time, so maybe I'm just being mean there. But it's nice. He's very much going. You're warlike people, sir. We will do war.
Edward
and
the Confessor.
The fact he's called King Edward as well. St. Edward's does suggest Edward the Confessor, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So he wasn't that warlike.
This is very. I am clutching at straws ever so slightly. Edward the Confessor did theoretically have a link with Warwick, because he supposedly founded my old school.
Yeah.
Really?
So we had a statue of him in the corridor.
Oh.
It was so, and that was Warwick School. Sorry, just to clarify that. So yeah, maybe there might be a link with Coventry, but who knows? But yeah,
I like that. he got about, to be fair.
He did, yes.
He did. So we've got two more speechettes coming. Also at the cross, in the cross cheaping, were three prophets standing at the cross singing, I think we went for, and upon the cross above them were children of Israel, singing and casting out white obols and flowers, and four pipes running wine.
Yay!
Also in the cross-steeping are for the a pageant and three kings of Cologne therein with other diverse arrayed, and two knights armed with minstrelsy of small pipes, and one of the kings having this speech underwritten.
Oh, splendid creator! In all our speculation, more brighter than Phoebus, exceedent all light, we three kings beseech thee with meek mediation, specially to preserve this noble prince thy knight, which by influence of thy grace proceedeth aright. One of us three lineally refined, his noble mother, Queen Elizabeth, is common of that kind.
So yeah, again, similar vein. It's a lot of kings. Okay, let's see if the final bit here really goes for something that seems familiar. Also upon the conduit, the cross cheaping. So it's all happening at the conduit. It's all the wine. That's what it is. Headed back again. Also upon the conduit and the cross cheaping was St. George armed, and a king's daughter kneeling afore him with a lamb. And the father and the mother being in a tower above, beholding St. George saving their daughter from the dragon, and the conduit running wine in four places, and minstrelsy of organ playing, and St. George having this speech underwritten.
O mighty God, our all succor celestial, which this realm hast given to dower to thy mother, and to me, George, protection perpetual, yet to defend from enemies far and near. And as this maiden defended was here by thy grace, from this dragon devour, so Lord preserve the noble peace, and ever be his succor.
Lovely. So we once again got a battle with a dragon. Slightly different setup. But yeah, lots more wine is recorded here. They're going to need more than a ton.
Prince Edward
It's going to go downward from here.
Okay, so yeah, it does seem a lot more martial, but then that would sort of make sense, doesn't it? The world we're in, or am I just projecting onto that text?
But I was also going to say the idea of the king's thing being much more prevalent in this, because he's coming from such a strong or weak, depending on how you look at it, background. He's very much like, yes, you're definitely right. You should be here.
But the thing is, obviously, I don't think it's not that they've written ahead saying this is the pageant we're expecting from you. They may have done. I don't know. This is what the city provides, and I think it's that question of how similar is this from last time or from other events? Because again, just repeating, he's three. He's not seen it before, and he won't remember it if you do it again.
Well, the subtext here surely is he has to live, right?
Yeah.
He has to be blessed by God. Him living to inherit is the way it should be. So he has to live.
And sadly, this 3-year-old does not make it. Once again, history is really not kind to the people enjoying these events, apart from the pageant mentioned even Edward. I suppose he died of natural causes, but it was we've had a couple of Edwards here, with the Edward of Margaret, and then Edward IV as well. So none of them are necessarily coming out of the meat grinder that is history particularly well. We have one more to go. We're leaping ahead again. We're leaping to the end of the century. Reception of Prince Arthur in 1498. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we have changed dynasties once again, and we are now talking about the son of Henry VII, who's 12. So he's he's going to remember this, so it better be good. First come to Coventry and there lay at the Priory from Wednesday unto Monday next, seeing which time he removed towards London. Against those coming was the Spoon Street. Is that Spoon?
Yep.
Spon?
Spon Street.
Spon. Street gate garnished with the 9 worthies. We're not going to see the 9 worthies, which per se. There are 9 worthies. That's all we've got. And then King Arthur having this speech as followeth. Sascha next, I think, is it?
Yep, that's right.
King Arthur.
Hail, Arthur. Hail, Prince Royal, most amiable in sight, whom the court eternal through prudent governance hath chosen to be egal ons to me in might, to spread our name, Arthur, and acts to advance, and of means victorious to have such abundance, that no false traitor, nay, cruel tyrant, shall in any wise make proffer to your land, and rebels all false quarrels shall eschew, through the fair of Pallas, that favoureth your lineage, and all outward enemies laboureth to subdue, to make them to do to you as to me did homage. Welcome, therefore, the solace and comfort of my old age, Prince peerless Arthur. I come of noble progeny to me and your chamber, with all this whole company.
Yeah, they really like finding people from the past with the same name, don't they? Hey, Arthur. I'm an Arthur too.
Yeah, you're in the crew now, mate.
Yeah. Okay, and then at the turning into the cross-cheaping before Mr. Thrumpton's door,
oh bless him,
stood the Barker's pageant well apparelled. So that does suggest that there is definite well, the elements of this are performed by specific guilds, even within the civic function. So the Barker's pageant well apparelled, in which was the Queen of Fortune, with divers other virgins, which queen has this speech following.
I am Dame Fortune, queen called, full expedient to emperors and princes, prelates with other more. As Caesar, Hector, and Fabius most excellent, Scipio, exalted Nausicaa, and Aemilianus also, Valerius also Marcius with sapient Cicero, and noblemen, bravely the truth to conclude you all, my favour verily had, as stories maketh rehearsal, without whom sithen none plainly can prosper that in this mutable life are now proceeding. I am come through love. Trust me entire to be with you and yours evermore enduring. Prince most unto my pleasure of all that are now reigning, wherefore mine own heart and best beloved treasure. Welcome to this your chamber, of whom ye be inhabiture.
And this is one of the more poignant ones as well. Again, Queen of Fortune, I'm on your side. And sadly for Arthur, it is not. Does not make it.
Well, this probably was the top of the wheel for him.
True.
So yeah, and he. It's really interesting what they are pulling out for these coming in kings or people of royal blood, and what they're presenting as part of that. I love the detail of Mr. Thrumpton's door. That we all know Mr. Thrumpton, don't we? We know where he lives. Fabulous. Okay, we're coming to my favourite stage direction, and we're coming to something we'll all find very familiar. I think, Greg, you're all down for St. George in a moment, because at the cross, in the cross-keeping was garnished, and wine there running.
Yay!
And angels sitting and singing with organs and other melody. And at the conduit there was St. George killing the dragon, and St. George had this speech following.
O most sovereign Lord, the divine provision to be the ruler of cruel Mars and king insuperable. Ye rejoice my courage, trusting it to see that named am George, your patron favourable. To whom ye are and ever shall be so acceptable, that in field or city, wheresoever you reign, shall I never fail you, thus it is my purpose plain. To protect your magnificence myself I shall endeavour, in all things that your highness shall concern, more tenderly than I yet did ever, king, duke, earl, lord also burn. As ye be mine assistants, in process shall learn, which through your virtue most amorous knight, I owe to your presence by due and very right. Likewise as I this lady be grace I defended, that through mischance chosen was to die. For this foul servant whom I sore wounded. So ye in distress preserve ever will I, through all peril and wicked villainy, that should your noble person in any wise distrain, which welcome is this to your chamber and to me right fain.
It's very similar, but not quite the same. It's obviously much longer, but you know, he's 12. He'll sit. He'll listen. But yeah, it's still the same plot as well as he's saving the maiden. The maiden narrative there is there. It ends with a ballad, and the way this is going to work, because I think we should do this, is I will sing the I won't sing. I'm just going to say it. I will say the first half of the line, and then all together in unison. If you could say the second, and really, you know, get into it. Okay, let's see how this goes. Still with us, Liza?
Yes, entirely.
Okay, Royal Prince Arthur.
To this your city.
Okay, let's try and get this a bit more energized. Welcome, new treasure, to this your city. With all our whole cure, to this your
city.
Sithen in virtue dear,
as we all we may see.
Lord, ye have no peer,
as all we may see.
Of your age tender,
as
all we may see.
Cunning required,
your intelligence.
All have contrived,
your intelligence.
And so received,
your intelligence.
That England all plain,
to their
excellence,
may now be right fain,
to their excellence.
You long to remain,
their excellence.
It's going well. Sing we therefore all,
that he you defend.
Also let us call,
that he
you defend.
To God immortal,
that he
you defend.
In this brief being,
to your life's end.
Your estate supporting,
to your life's end.
And virtue eye spreading, to your life's end. And lo, the irony of history plays its final cruelest card.
They must have felt so bad.
Did you see what we did for these last three princes? God.
just that you're a teenager and you have to sit through that.
Yeah.
Oh no, please stop it. No. So yeah, it's interesting how much is similar. You know, that they have the stuff that they obviously pull out for big celebrations like this. They've got the wine set up. They've got, you know, the pipes are presumably, you know, they've got a system. They've got pageants, pageant wagons and carts that they presumably use for other things as well, including mystery material, which we have yet to do. We have two, which are very Christmassy, so we'll probably do them at Christmas. Maybe not. Who knows? We might just do them randomly. And Liza will enjoy them. They're singing. That's where the Coventry Cavil comes from.
Yes.
Cheerful.
Definitely the best song about dead babies.
Yeah. Well, no, the babies are still alive, to be fair. It's a song about shut up, you child. Stop singing. Stop crying. Otherwise, you're gonna get killed.
Yeah.
So, you know. Cheerful, happy. Anyway, that's another time. But no, it's interesting how much is different as well as what's similar. You know, these are, they're produced, they're written on demand. They're decent quality considering they're essentially disposable material. There isn't really an afterlife for any of this yet.
I wonder, I mean, the ballad seems like the sort of thing you could reuse for whatever royalty was visiting.
It feels like a chant that you just know you could just put, any words to, and, everybody knows this. It doesn't feel like a ballad. It feels just like a football chant, doesn't it? So, yes, that's our little journey. It's quite depressing, really, because we've passed through so many monarchs this time. We've only been looking at it with our sort of amateur historian hat on. We haven't done any research or anything. I see a show, or I see some kind of outlet for this further down the road. Not all of this, but mixing this in with history and with other plays and with other material to really get a sense of what the cultural life of the times was like. And this is part of it. This kind of disposable civic poetry, is part of that lexicon. And it's so similar to some of the morality drama that we get, Tudor interludes that are coming 50, 100 years further down the line. And it's sort of, there seems to be a real connection between that sort of court world and the civic world and the kind of text you're expecting. Anything leapt out for anyone here on a more mundane level, as it were, of, just bits you liked, bits you didn't like? Anything that leapt out at you you'd like to nick? We had a lot of that yesterday. I'm not sure we have as much today.
I like the idea of inserting some of these into other plays or maybe other history plays. It might require giant papier-mâché props, though. That's
sort of what I have in mind. It's building the adornment to arches. And wine. I really quite like that as a basic setup for a show, is that we have a communal space with just wine in the middle, and the interval is just we all gather around it, and we it's all part of the ticket price. You don't have to pay for it. Some people will get wasted.
I wonder who, do we pick a hapless person out of the audience to be the visiting monarch, or do we do it with a cake with a bean in it? Or
yeah, I do quite like the idea. We've talked about this before with some of these plays where the context of the performance sort of makes a difference, where you actually sell a cosplay element to it, that you get to be the monarch for the day. Do you have a 3-year-old child? Because part of the performance surely should be the child having a temper tantrum and going, "I'm bored, I don't want to watch this." That being a very important element of this.
Yes, you can just picture the child like screaming, and the person just intoning solemnly about how lovely and meek he is.
Yes. It's always the problem with baby Jesus. He is meek and mild. No, there's more of this material to come. We've got sort of the slightly weirder text of John Lydgate, which are sort of not quite records of performances. They're sort of reimagined. Though we might not do them for a while. We've obviously got a lot of later civic pageantry, which is much more of literary interest as well. You've got a lot of playwrights writing those. So we are going to start looking at those soon, because we have plans for the podcast as well. And so this is part of the research kick for that. So there's a whole series of shows I'm working on, of which I will be actually talking to some of you to contribute on. Damn, I've just said that on a video in public. They'll come to me now. It was a promise.
You can edit it out. It'll be as though it never were.
It never was in there.
Yeah. This is where the really weird, awkward jump cut comes in. Thank you very much, everyone.
Do we need to change outfits too?
Clock in the background suddenly jumps time. Okay, anybody got any final thoughts before I close the session?
No.
No. It was fun. Thank you very much, everyone. This is very much our first stab in the dark. We may come back to this at some point in the future. Thank you very much to all the readers, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.